Welcome to Coffee Time with Carlos Machado, where conversations flow as freely as the coffee. I really appreciate your time. Don't be shy. Share with your friends, subscribe, and come back whenever you feel like it. I'll be here waiting for you. This episode is sponsored by Stay Humble Coffee. Coffee is so good, it doesn't need to brag. Find it at stayhumblecoffee.com. Hi, Kenny. It's so good to see you here in Dallas, to see the mat-made man.
It's a pleasure. It's an honor to be here in your presence in this beautiful podcast room. This is nice. Very nice. I know.
Let's cheer here with a coffee time.
Coffee.
First guest officially, Coffee Time with Carlos Machado. All right. So, I was having breakfast with you earlier today, and we were striking a conversation, me, you, and Roger, and we talked about your evolution in the martial arts, and we're talking a bit about the journey now, how you started, and there are a couple of things that you mentioned, because you had different disciplines that you did, and eventually you came upon BJJ, and then it became a transformation, and which altered your path altogether to choose more of a one direction towards deep dive into BJJ. I'd like you, if possible, for you to let us know about.
So my martial arts journey started when I was like 3 years old, coming from immigrant parents, I wasn't like typical child where, like my son, I'll take him to soccer. We have these, sports that you played. I mean, they were working 2-3 jobs. So I really didn't have much. So the only thing he said, I want you to do something. And he basically took me to, a martial arts school, which is Taekwondo. That's what it started. And so that was my thing, that's the only thing that I did.
At 3?
Yeah. It started at 3 years old. And then, from then until I was 18, 19, 20 years old, until I found Jiu-Jitsu, that was what I was doing.
Really?
And
so you said Jiu-Jitsu went all the way to the early 20s?
So I started Jiu-Jitsu, I think I was 20 years old when I started
Jiu-Jitsu.
Jiu-Jitsu.
You don't mind me asking where your parents came from originally?
From South Korea.
South Korea.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And
so Taekwondo it is, right?
It is. It's like if you're saying you're going to be doing, Jiu-Jitsu, same thing. So, and at the time, in the 80s, that was when like the Taekwondo boom was. Almost like how Jiu-Jitsu is now.
Wow.
So like every other shopping center, you had a Taekwondo school.
That's true.
It's kind of like how Jiu-Jitsu is right now, so it was convenient because it was close by my house, and I was able to, even when I got a little bit older as a teenager, I was able to ride my bike and walk there. So close by, and people would pick me up and whatnot, right? So that's how I got started, and that was my life, competing, going to the nationals, junior Olympics. I mean, that was my thing, and it gave me an identity. It's at the time, living in a small town called Austell, it was predominantly white. And, later on it became, we had some, black people and some Spanish people. So I was the only like non-white kid in school. So I got picked on a lot, got into a lot of fights, bullied, what they call bullied now. Well, back then we didn't have a word that said bullied. It was just like, I was picked on. It was, racist comments and just being different.
Yeah.
And so the only thing that really gave me the confidence to, defend myself was knowing that, hey, I have this martial arts. I can, physically fight if I needed to.
Since you mentioned that part, I want to just kind of ask you a quick question on the bully part. At your school age, whenever whatever you call bully now, became a problem, were you already a martial artist?
Yes.
Okay, because you started early.
Yes.
How helpful was that to offset?
That was the best thing, and the only thing that was able to help me overcome that stage in my life. Because, I mean, you hear stories of kids not only getting bullied, but falling into depression, killing themselves, committing suicide because they can't handle it. But it gave me the confidence to stand up for myself.
So you're able to hold you on from the early start, right?
right. And so I had this defensive mechanism, which we can talk about later. But I built this persona that I was this tough guy. Like nobody can infiltrate my space, whether it was a teacher or a friend. It really didn't matter because I always had this, like I had my guard up ever since I was a kid. because it was constant basis. Even the teachers were being racist and being a bully to me.
Wow.
And that's the state that
what part of the country again where you were at?
I was in Georgia.
Georgia as well.
Even in Georgia.
So you've been in Georgia has been
all my life.
All life.
Yeah. And small town called Austell. So it was, so yeah, that's how I got started. And then eventually, I started training some boxing. I was doing Muay Thai. So basically all stand up martial arts. I've dabbled in a little bit of judo, but not really. It was my instructor at the time did some judo. And so we would do some self-defense stuff where we were doing, seonagis and, some of the throws and stuff, which was fun, right?
Yeah.
And I really didn't get into jiu-jitsu until I was like 20 years old, which at the time, it's not late, but it wasn't early because it really wasn't around at the time. Like it was around in some parts of the country, but in Georgia, I think we literally had two academies. One was Jacare.
Yep.
And the other one was my professor, Eddie, who was a Pedro Sauer black belt. At the time, when I started, he was actually a brown belt.
Yep.
And,
my wife was the first blue belt from Jacare.
Oh, yeah?
In the old days, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
In the early 90s. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was it. And my roommate at the time, he was just asking me every day. He would actually hang his gi on my, it was my apartment, so he actually ended up being a roommate. And he would hang his gi after he got done training on my kitchen dining room table on the chairs. And I would be like, man, get that wet, stinky thing out of here, man, Right. And he was like, oh, man, you have to come with me. You have to try this, jiu-jitsu thing. I was like, no, I don't want to do no jiu-jitsu, And I didn't know too much about jiu-jitsu, but everybody watched UFC 1, 2, so I knew what it was. Right. And just as everybody did, I'm like, that stuff doesn't work. You got lucky, that's not even fighting, That was the kind of attitude I had. Well, I think a lot of people did too.
Sure.
And one day I said, all right, I'll go with you. And I had this huge ego, like, man, I'm a martial artist. I've been training all my life, so I walk in there and it was like, probably had 40, 50 guys just training. The first thing I noticed was, wow, like everybody was sweating. It stunk in there. And it was like, man, this is kind of crazy. Anyways, back in the days, it wasn't like a trial class and then, okay, you're going to do a few classes. Okay, boom, you're in. Next thing you know, you're fighting for your life.
Yeah.
And
believe me, I remember that.
Those days
was like the old West story.
Either you made it, and you came back and you basically became a black belt, or you're like, this isn't for me, and you left.
I agree. This episode is brought to you by Machado Method Nutrition, premium fuel for disciplined athletes who train with intent and recover with purpose. Live the method, fuel the life. Start now at machadomethodnutrition.com.
And the funny story is that first day, I thought I was this hot, shit. You guys can bleep it out. But I told this story to the guys yesterday. I said, there's this, at the time, she was probably like 40 years old or 45 years old. Her name was Darcy. I still remember. She armbarred me like 3 times from the mouth. And I was a 20-year-old, like strong, a martial artist. And then I came back the second day, and there was these, and I'm not a big guy, but there was these 2 Vietnamese brothers. I think they were brothers, but their nicknames were Hurricane and something else, like 5'3", 130 pounds. I'm like, these guys are going to be the joke. And these guys wrapped me up and choked me. It was just a awakening. Like I was almost like, I felt like wasted however many years of doing other martial arts because like I can't defend myself against a 45-year-old woman.
Yeah.
You
mentioned that in the early stages of jiu-jitsu, a lot of people had awakening because there were guys who were athletes or accomplished in different martial arts that usually dropped by a jiu-jitsu school, not thinking much of it, and was a smaller guy that was there in the middle of it. And that guy would give them a real lesson in humility, like a humble pie. And there are several stories I can relate to that.
So that was me. Yeah. I think a lot of people probably had that experience, but that was me. And that's basically how my journey started. And that was, 25, 6, 7 years ago.
So So you started training. You had the two main schools, Alliance and at Camp.
Yep.
Camp
At Camden. Yep.
Yeah, and then from that point on.
So
how
at the
did it
time,
lead?
I actually had I was running a Taekwondo and Muay Thai school already. Because my
Okay.
goal as a child was like, you ask a child, what do you want to be when you grow up? I already knew when I was a teenager that that's what I wanted to do. So I saved up some money, and that's another story. And then I was able to, at 20 years old, I was able to open up my school.
Now, since you mentioned that, were your parents okay with you following that path, or were they putting pressure on you for you to do something else?
No, I wasn't the model child, especially as being a descendant of a Korean, background. They all want their kids to go to school, be a doctor, this and that. My parents weren't like that.
They didn't put the pressure on you on academics. All my Asian friends,
I know, we're different.
They gotta make it.
My father just said, "Hey, just graduate high school, dude." Yeah, and I actually, when I was 15 years old, I left home and I was running the streets and kind of going with the bad crowd. I was in jail by the time I was 17. So I did I did a lot of bad stuff in my life, even at a young age, and so martial arts is what always kept me coming back and being in line.
This is one of the most amazing statements you've made. My late Grandmaster uncle, Carlos Gracie Sr., he said that to me more than once. If it was not for Jiu-Jitsu, martial arts, I would either be in jail or killed.
Yeah.
And he was the patriarch, one of the first ones.
Sure.
So
I'm getting goosebumps talking about this because when I was 17, we went to jail, but I had a group of friends that actually committed, a robbery. They robbed a gas station and they ended up they got sentenced 10 years. And even that time I was with them, but I said, I'm going to go home because I got to train tomorrow. If I didn't have that, I would have been with them.
What do you mean? You missed the gas station robbery because you had to train? Wow.
I had to train the next day. I think I had a part-time job and then I had to train.
So if you're not in the martial arts, probably you would have taken
I would have been with them 100%.
Oh, wow.
At 17, you do what your friends do. And that's what we did. Right. So, but when I found jiu-jitsu, it was just different, and so I started training with Eddie. I got my white belt all the way to my black belt with him, and we still talk to this day.
That's great.
Every other week we may talk, we go eat lunch, talk business, talk about jiu-jitsu and talk about how everything is hurting and, all of that stuff now. But once I had my school, I said, I want to have jiu-jitsu at my school. But of course, I just started. I think I was a blue belt by the time we had this conversation. So I'm not teaching. So at the time, we had a purple belt instructor that would come a few times a week and teach. And at the time, purple belt was, back in the day, purple belt was like a black belt level. I mean, they were tough guys back then. Like belts weren't.
You didn't have as many black belts anywhere. So a lot of times people would see a purple belt. That was the high. They wouldn't even conceive being a purple belt.
Yeah. And so we had a purple belt that would teach a few times a week. So I would train at my school with them. And then I would also go a few times a week back to Eddie's and train there. And that went on for a couple more years. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to take over the program. And so I started teaching. I think by the time I was almost a brown belt or so.
You brought a good point here that some people, they have some controversy over it, okay? So as you know, Jiu-Jitsu from Brazil didn't come to America until the early 90s.
Right.
When the first Gracie Academy was open. We were there in the midst of it, me and my brothers. And we didn't have any students who have actually black belts in BJJ.
Right.
They were ready to start their jiu-jitsu programs at their academies. They are mostly black belts in karate or taekwondo, or like yourself, versed in different arts. And nowadays still we have some taboos in which people mention, if you're not a black belt in BJJ, you're not supposed to teach jiu-jitsu class. And the issue I had is when I started my organization, all the guys I could count on were black belts of different styles who already have had an existing business, and they wanted to implement jiu-jitsu. And if I told them, don't teach, they would never have developed their
Right.
programs. And nowadays we have so many more students. So I'm not sure what your thoughts are on that. What side of the spectrum?
I see both sides.
Uh-huh.
Like back in the days, I think if color belts teaching I was all for it. Nowadays, I'm kind of torn because there's so many black belts out there now. For example, like let's say a karate school owner wants to implement a jiu-jitsu program, right? He may not be the instructor, but there's plenty of black belts that he can have run the program.
Right.
You know what I mean? So in that sense, I think we have an abundance of black belts that are, high level or whatever, however, that can lead a program. But I mean, if you have someone that's been in the martial arts all their life, and let's say he's a purple belt, wrestled since he was a little kid, and he has the knowledge, I feel like we can learn from anybody, right? But if we have a choice of, okay, like if we can implement a black belt into a program, I think that would be a little bit better. But if the choice isn't there,
right?
Obviously, if you go to somewhere in Oklahoma where there's really no, there's probably jiu-jitsu all over the place now,
You'd be surprised how many people in Oklahoma are doing jiu-jitsu these days.
Tough wrestlers that, picked up jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
Like,
so the reason I mentioned that is just because I feel this has merit, because a lot of people out there watching, they want to be into the BJJ journey, but they are martial artists of different style, and they've had their tries in different ways, like people, they imported instructors and ended up not turning out to be a happy end. Like, because the instructor was not homegrown, different culture, likely. And, you come from a Taekwondo structure in the beginning, how disciplined, regimented, how structured, how systematic they are. And I think I learned so much from karate and Taekwondo black belts, students of mine, who taught me about how to structure my business.
Right.
And I remember when I instilled the bowing, the belt levels, with the testing
curriculum.
I didn't charge for fees, but on occasion I did, and people had no problem with it because they're paying for the time of the instructor, not necessarily to have a belt. But the point I'm trying to make is, like you said, sometimes it's not realistic for some of these schools who want to have BJJ to have to always start with a black belt in BJJ as the head of the program, instead of having a system of following a structure, a lesson plan, whatever they can, and groom somebody out of their group to be the one running it, which I feel there are some advantages in regards to
I think so.
keeping the culture the same. But like I said, I think we're also incurring to the other side of the spectrum where you have phony instructors who teach broken down, watered down versions of jiu-jitsu. And that undermines, I guess, the overall quality.
Yeah, I think, but if, like, for example, like, your organization, and there's some great jiu-jitsu organizations out there, associations, so-called. So even if the guy was, a purple belt teaching, growing his program at his, current martial arts school, I think if you have a strong backbone structure of, like, here's the curriculum, this is how we do things, I think it can be, and it has been done, very successful programs. And again, the big controversy with like the Gracie University with, Henner and Hiron was, blue belts are basically running the program. And there was a big controversy, like, what are you doing allowing these blue belts to do? And their take was that, hey, these blue belts know more than some of these black belts do, how to teach.
Yep.
Now, do I agree with everything they say? Maybe not everything, So again, I'm kind of in the middle, like I'm swaying left and right.
Didn't you see though, for instance, I heard that controversy, and I've had that experience from my own people here. I've had purple belts who are running jiu-jitsu programs at their school, and black belts in town that had a rival school complaining about it. And on social media nowadays, you have no control. So they're kind of trolling them. You had no business teaching this, that. But then when tournament came, the purple belt students were doing better than the black belts because they had a structure. They're following a program, a curriculum, and things like that. And the controversy that you had with my cousins in regards to the blue belt, I think there was somebody in Georgia, was a female blue belt. They had over 300 students at her academy, and she was following that system. So I think results, they will speak for themselves, right? So
and at the end of the day, if the program can benefit someone, then let it be. Because we don't have, because IBJJF isn't our, it's not the head. Like we don't have a governing body.
Right.
Like for example, judo has USA Judo and above that, like you have a governing body. You know, IBJJF is a for-profit company. They're the biggest and they've done a lot of work to bring jiu-jitsu where it is, but like they're not the governing body. So there's not a system that says, oh, you have to, there's not a law that says anybody, a Joey Schmo can go down the road and just get a, you know, a business license and open up a school.
Right.
Teach whatever you want. It doesn't say you have to be a black belt.
Well,
it doesn't say, you know,
you have even cases of guys that rank themselves.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Oh, I feel like I'm going to be a black belt.
I've seen that too.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Or guys who are not ranked, but they wear a black belt.
Yeah,
and they like those, you know, episodes that you see like a white belt, black belt visiting a fake black belt. And putting to the guy.
Yeah. So there's no laws. So I mean, I don't know. You can't say anything, but I think as long as it benefits people. You know,
we're going to go back to your journey, but since you touched on that subject, you know, people talk about jiu-jitsu in the Olympics, you know, because, you know, and a lot of people have issues with it. Reason being is when you start to get regulated, and then you have regulations and licensing and Olympic organizations that are not necessarily tied to jiu-jitsu whatsoever, you know, and so you have a governing body who's going to dictate rules. And I wonder, in your opinion, if that would infringe or restrain the growth of jiu-jitsu, or how people that want to do jiu-jitsu for a living, how would that affect them?
I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
Because you look at every sport that has made it into the Olympics. So let's just take Taekwondo, for example. Yeah. Taekwondo used to be with Chuck Norris. I mean, you look at, I mean, even some of the guys, Joe Rogan's, have these powerful, beautiful kicks, man, you know, knocking people out. Like this was the art. And like the Olympics back in the days, like the world championships when I was a kid watching, and these guys were just, you know, like phenomenal. I was like, man, that's what I want to be. And of course, I haven't been in touch with that over 20 whatever years. And somebody said something about it. And the last time the Olympics was on, I turned it on, I watched Taekwondo, and I was like, what are they doing? Yeah. They were literally like a crane, just standing on one leg, just like doing this, just for a point, right? And so going back to jiu-jitsu, it's already happening with IBJJF, with the stalling, with the advantage, looking at the time, going out of bounds, because the rule set says that's what you can do to win a match. Right. Whether you become a world champion, PANS champion, whatever. But that takes the essence away from what your family did, you know? Right. Self-defense and really going for the submission. Like, and so I think true essence of jiu-jitsu is going to be gone because it's already happening. You can't do this. You can't do that. Don't grab here. Don't grab there. Right. This is against so now everybody's training just for that rule set. Right. And so they don't know anything else, you know? And so I think if it makes it to the Olympics, I think they're going to eliminate more rules, techniques, implement more rule sets, which diminishes and waters down what jiu-jitsu was. And they're just going to play for points. But like, okay, well, if I can get that point and become an Olympic champion, that's what they're going to do. If I can hold this guy and stall out for the last 30 seconds, that's what they're going to do.
Well, I think every sport with its rule set, you can always discuss how they can play the rules to their advantage in detriment of the art, right? So I think IBJJF has scaled to a level that any change that they make, whether big or small, it's always more bureaucratic at this point in time because they have to deal with a lot more people. Yeah. And any small change might create a lot of, repercussions. But I do agree with you. I've seen matches in the past where you had two accomplished black belts, top guys, top notch, and they would kind of fight, cruise along for 9 minutes. Yeah. And then at the ninth minute, one of them would score an advantage and just hold. Yep. And then the other one would look at the clock and see if he could catch up. Yeah. So it became kind of like a self-defeating in a sense because if you want to grow as a sport, you have to be appealing to the audience. And I think Abu Dhabi tried in their rule format to make it more exciting. You have now, a lot of other events, including where I met you, PGF.
Yeah, PGF.
And I know we're kind of sidetracking here, but I want to keep, since we mentioned
that's great.
IBJJF, let's talk about PGF a little bit. Like, because we had a couple discussions before we came here. But let's talk about the tournament perspective from a viewership point of view. How do you feel as a spectator seeing a tournament where you have a roster of 20 competitors in 4 teams and everybody has to fight everybody in 4 days? And then on top of that, the top 8 still go to the grand finale for another extra cash prize.
I enjoyed it. It was an exciting, because really, like, you can, and some of the calls, I was like, I don't know, that wasn't stalling. And they would make these calls where, like, the guy's stuck on bottom of side control,
trying to escape, right?
And they're calling him for stalling. They're like, I'm trying to move, I can't move. They're like, give him your back. You got to do something.
The other guy was stalling.
Yeah, exactly.
And they penalized the guy at the bottom. Yeah, I agree with you. I had that perspective too.
Yeah, because they were trying to move.
Yeah.
And the guy was like in turtle, and the guy's getting the hooks, and he's trying to escape it, and then another stalling call. So, but anyways, it was great, because, man, it kept the action going.
Right. Did you have an impression, even the matches where there were no submissions, that even when it was a per se tie, it was as exciting as if there was a submission, because they were going after each other for the whole time.
Yeah, going back and forth.
Right.
It was, because again, the submission attempts, the armbar was 2 point, or break was 2 points or something, and then the choke was 6 points, or I forget.
Yeah, I think it was 3 and 6.
Okay, 3 and 6. Yeah. So, and they were going for the kill. They're like, I want to get this choke, bring the points back. And so it was interesting, because it was a team perspective, but it's also individualized. They were doing it for themselves, but they're also doing it for the team, because at the end of the day, the team wins. You get the cash prize,
right?
I
mean, the athletes got the cash prize. The coach,
right? Not the coach.
Hey, if Brandon is watching that, hey, Brandon, by the way, you and Zoltan here, let's make this more appealing for the coaches too. All right, come on,
and better accommodations, right?
No, that's all good, man. You got to understand that they evolved.
Sure.
I think what Brandon has accomplished, doing his backyard, having people going all over town, and then Zoltan, one of his trips, stopping by in the middle of Alabama to watch at a warehouse, the guys going at each other, now being in Vegas. I see a bright future for them.
But yeah, it was great. I mean, I think it was grueling for the athletes, because 3 high-level matches a day. The hardest part, I think, was this. I said this to him too. So they'll do 3 matches a day, like high-level, high-paced. People were getting hurt. And then they would have to just walk back to the casino where they were staying, with cigarette smoke, with booze everywhere, gambling, like, with the temptation. These guys, like, have to just go back to their rooms, just stay there.
Right.
Be ready for tomorrow.
Yeah, I think for the most part, I was able to spend time with them outside the premise, the venue. They were all focused. They would actually take care of their recovery. They would try to eat well. Some went to the Peak Institute at UFC, went there for recovery and everything else. But you mentioned something here, and I did talk to Brandon too, and I think this will evolve. Right now it's just the beginning of a major, tournament format. But I do agree with you that being an insider as a coach, I could keep up with the athletes on and off the matches. And the recovery part of it, that was the critical point, because by day 4, if you didn't get injured or had any mishaps, their bodies were beaten down.
There was one guy, I think it was Kyle. Kyle Bow.
Yeah. The gentleman from San Diego, yes.
I think he literally at the end was just like, he made it into the
top 8.
Type 8, and he said, I can't compete.
There were more than one. I think Carl Chambers was supposed to be as well.
Exactly.
He decided not to. I think even Abe Montaigne, Abe the Mountain, I think he had enough points as an alternate that he would qualify.
But their bodies were so beat.
Were beat.
Even if you weren't injured, they're just like, I don't have it in me.
Yeah.
So I think it was a testament to, like, not only skill, but like who had the willpower to be out there for an entire week,
Yep.
be focused, like.
So thinking about that,
Mhm.
think from a bigger perspective, what would you suggest or tell, without sounding critical, what would be a constructive criticism in regards to how can we make this better for the athletes? If
For
realistic.
FPGF?
Yeah.
I don't know, like I'm sure even Brandon and Zoll and all the guys have come up with different ways. Because I talked to Brandon about it. He said, yeah, last year he said he had everybody in different Airbnbs
Mm-hmm.
instead of the resort hotel, right? But he said he had a hard time getting all the athletes
Synchronized.
yeah, from that location to
Oh, I
the,
got you.
to the tournament location to practice for the matches.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a nightmare because of transportation. So you got
Yeah.
20 guys and you got to have a bunch of fans.
It was more a logistical issue.
Exactly. And so that's why he said, well, it was easier to just put them across the street from the venue where they could just literally walk where they wanted,
Yep.
And so I don't know. I don't know that I have the right to even criticize anything like that.
Oh no, it's easy for anybody to say anything from the outside, but believe me, dealing with events of that, as they scale up the way they're doing, it's kind of like growth pains. They're going faster, and they have. But I have to give them credit. They are adjusting on the spot.
Yeah.
Something about the stalling that happened on day one, they're able to mitigate on day two and so on. And I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, I don't have anything but positive things to say about, like, Brandon, you're doing a great job. Zoltan, all of you guys. This is just it's been it was probably one of the funnest events that I was able to attend as a spectator. Just watching the athletes, watching the matches, hanging out with, Master Carlos and all the guys, Roger, and, everybody. Every day we were out, just hanging out.
Isn't there like a Jiu-Jitsu family reunion of some sort?
Yeah.
And you have some of the royals up there.
Yeah.
I love the setup.
Oh, yeah.
They have the comfortable lounge chairs and couches, and
it was
everybody just hanging out. Like,
one thing that I would say, Brandon, just keep the mats clean. I came back with staph.
Really?
My leg. I mean, it was nasty. I mean, it lasted for a while.
Really?
Because I saw some people using a broom to kind of clean the mess, but I never seen it get like mopped. I don't know if they do. I'm not speculating, but I did come back with staph.
Yeah, I think they had the open mats during daytime.
Exactly.
And I think too, once the event is over, people walk on their shoes over there. There's no telling.
Right.
I think it would be a rule, wise one, sanitize before and after.
Exactly.
Every interaction.
Whether it's the matches or open mats or whatever, like it needs to, or have a cover on it so people don't get on it, The
other thing too, I think, is you have people from all different areas. And who knows? You may have some guys out there that you grappled with.
Yeah. I mean, one of the athletes could have it and be like, I don't want to tell nobody because I have to finish the matches.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, that would be the only thing. Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that. I had my gi with me, so I was
we were just all doing no gi too,
So I know. Okay, so you're talking about the martial arts. Let's kind of fast track here real quick. So you got your brown belt with Eddie,
yep,
right? And then from that point on,
I basically took over the program and I was teaching at my school.
Okay,
but I was continuing to train with my students, but I was traveling to.
Now, so who did you get your black belt
from? Eddie.
From Eddie as well?
From white belt all the way to black belt.
That's awesome.
Actually, my first degree too.
Yeah, that's one thing here nowadays too that I commend you. And I'm not saying that people don't have choices. I think loyalty, when you talk about loyalty, it's a two-way deal.
No, it is. It definitely is.
The instructor has to be engaged and motivating the disciple or the student, and the student at the same time.
Right. Same as respect. It has to go both ways.
Yeah. So what I see happening a lot of times is people hopping nowadays. They go everywhere and this and that. But you got your black belt, and then once you got Ed, you had all the instructors or role models that you went under. So
So what happened was actually, I got my black belt. Even Hoist actually tied the belt around my waist.
When you got your black belt?
Yeah. So he didn't give me my black belt, but he was the honorary.
Yeah.
We actually did a big demonstration. It was cool because I gave Eddie the idea. I said, hey, we should do a big event, sell tickets. So because it was like 6, 7 of us getting our black belts. So we sold tickets, our families and friends, we rented out a ballroom at a hotel, and we packed the place in, had some, hors d'oeuvres, and people were just enjoying the food. We had Eddie had like watermelon juice and the whole Gracie way. Hoist was our special guest. So we did a whole self-defense demonstration, all the stand-up self-defense stuff. And then we basically did like an Ironman type where I was rolling, it was like, we would line up like 20 guys and I would roll, like each person would roll with them over and over and over.
So you have to do round robins.
Yeah, exact kind of deal. And it was just a celebration of it wasn't a testing. It was just like a more of a demonstration, you know. And then we did that, and at the end, we had a round of applause for everybody, and then Hoist basically tied our black belts around.
What a moment!
Yeah. It was great. So that happens, and Eddie was always with Pedro, but he kind of had a fallout with Pedro Sauer.
Sure.
And Eddie always had a great relationship with the Gracie Academy, with Horian. Horian, Elio Gracie actually came and did the book signing. We did a couple seminars with him. Hickson, Hoyler, you name it, they all came through that place. Henner and
you mentioned have you ever been choked by him?
Oh yeah. And he'll say, choke me. He'll say, mount me and choke me, and you're like, I don't know.
Oh, you fell for that one?
Yeah, he was an angry old man. He would just be in his gi, and we would go to the grocery store, and he would just be just grunting and just yelling. Go to the restaurant. Oh, they're trying to kill me. I told you, I don't want this. He's very,
very strict.
Yeah, on his food.
On his diet. Yeah.
But it was a great experience. I got to experience all of that. And when Hito and Henner had a fallout with their father, Horian.
Yeah.
You probably
I know. So I'll let you continue with that, but just so people can understand, Helio Gracie had forearms like the sailor Popeye, right?
It was like,
so he used to choke soccer players on the leg, wrapping
really?
a gi around their legs and squeezing. And, soccer players, they have big legs. They use their legs. And the guys would tap out.
Really?
Yeah. And that whole thing that happened to you, he would do that to everybody. He said, mount on me and try to choke me. And you did whatever you wanted to do it. And then, okay, now my turn. And man, it was an experience.
Yeah.
All right.
And I was probably, look, I was so fortunate enough to be able to train with probably the entire Gracie family.
Amazing, man. You got the patriarchs.
Yeah. Both sides, Carlos's side, and
that's awesome.
And but anyway, so when they had a fallout, they basically created the Gracie University.
Yeah. So now you're going the brothers Henry and Hero, and then the fallout to Horia, and then Gracie University,
and so Eddie decided to
go along with them.
And because he was basically just
wasn't Pedro Sauer with them for a point in time?
They were always together, but they were never together.
Oh, okay.
And so Eddie decided to go with them, and he was basically Henry used to call him Uncle Eddie. He was basically married into that family already.
Is he still doing it? Up to this day?
Mm-hmm. And so he was the highest level of affiliates, you can call it, whatever.
Oh, wow.
Level 5 or whatever it is,
Top tier.
Yeah. And so I was like, that's cool. But the news flash was, in order for me to teach, they basically said I had to, and I'm not trying to knock anybody, they said I had to come out to Torrance and do a 1-week black belt testing and then get certified by them.
So there was a condition.
That said, Hoist tied the black belt around me.
Oh, wait. Let me go back here. So in order for you to be recognized as a black belt, you had to redo your test?
I had to test in Torrance and pay them whatever amount of money that was at the time.
Okay. How far after you got your black belt that took place, by the way?
Within a year.
Okay.
And I just told Eddie, I said, I'm not doing that. I said, you gave me my black belt.
Right.
That
takes away a bit your experience. Right?
Yeah.
You got your belt, and then all of a sudden somebody tells you, oh, no, by the way,
you
got to do it again.
No, I'm not. These guys didn't give me my black belt.
Yeah, so there was a gap. You never had direct contact with them.
No, we, seminars and,
I got you.
Whatever. And so, my instructor was cool. He's like, yeah, I wouldn't either. Like, do your own thing, man. So I'm always going to be under Eddie.
You talk about Ed.
Yeah.
Told you he was okay with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I basically.
Is this the reason you left?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I didn't leave Eddie. I was still training with him, but
you had to do your own thing.
Yeah. So I basically was just teaching.
I got you.
Now
you had your own gym by then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. And yeah, I just started doing my own thing starting then.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of the end of the relationship I had with them. And it was just like, I'm not doing that.
All right. So who else were you under in your
So
joining?
after that, I wouldn't say I was under. I joined. I had a contact with some relationship with Cayo.
Yep.
And so I spent some time with Cayo and
San Francisco, right?
yeah, San Jose.
San Jose.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
And I used to love his game because he was a smaller guy, and you know.
I remember, man, Carter, he would be lightweight.
Oh, he was actually
the open
rooster weight.
Yeah, and then going the open class
and beat these giants.
That's a testament to jiu-jitsu technique.
Yeah,
isn't
and
it?
he would always say, you know, technique overcomes, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I became an affiliate of Cayo's.
Okay.
And at that time, all the big name guys were there, who are great friends of mine now, and we're together under our Aries Association.
Right.
Like Samir Chantry, Oswaldo Caixinho, Milton Bastos,
Yeah.
all these guys.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another story because it was Cayo Association, but at the time they were trying to be in a team, but they didn't come up with a name yet, so they used Cayo's name for the time being.
Oh, I got you.
There was some, again, it was a fallout, and then eventually Samir, Milton, Caixinho, myself, all of us basically just created Aries.
Right.
And
are they in Arizona? Where are they at?
So Samir's in Modesto.
Okay.
Caixinho used to be there with him, and then now Caixinho's in Arizona. And
Okay, gotcha.
we have probably about 10, 12 affiliates just in Arizona.
Great.
Yeah, so that's kind of, I didn't have many. But
yeah, so sometimes that happens when they grow to a certain level. If and sometimes it takes a life of its own.
Yeah,
you know?
and it does, and it's just that's part of it.
Let's talk about your philosophy here. What are the mindset or philosophical approach that you use for the parallel martial arts in life?
Man, you know, that's one of the reasons Mat Made was born. You know, with all the trial and tributes that I had growing up, you know, as I mentioned earlier, how it was martial arts that saved me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so Mat Made was just because it was just my story of how the mats have made the person that I am today.
Would you mind for the viewers
Mm-hmm.
just to kind of define the meaning of Mat Made before you continue?
So Mat Made was just basically it started with just telling my story. I wrote a book called Mat Made. It was just telling about my childhood all the way up to my adulthood. And
so you got a book named Mat Made.
Mat Made, yes. Awesome. And that's how the name was actually created.
Okay.
And so it was just telling my story of how the mats has helped me in life. Like we just talked about the parallels between martial arts, especially jiu-jitsu and life. Mm-hmm. And so it basically was the story of my success story of mm-hmm. how the mats have helped me become the man I am today without, you know, the help of my parents, help of anybody. Like I was basically just this kid that just grew up and figured things out and became who I am. Mm-hmm. Right? And then later it became a mission for me to share other people's success story through the mats, how it has helped an alcoholic overcome alcoholism, how it has helped a domestic violence female, gain confidence to become mm-hmm. a better person, how it has helped a military veteran overcome his PTSD. Mm-hmm. And these are all like true testaments to what this art has done for people. So, you know, I wanted to share that. I wanted to share the benefits of jiu-jitsu through the mats and connect people. And it's like, what's better way to do that? I gotta tell these stories. So that's why I started filming the episodes the Mat Made. That's how Mat Made episodes were born. And while we were doing that,
so it's a docu-series.
Yes, docu-series. Right? Okay. It's been about 1.5 years, 2 years, and you guys can find it on YouTube. It's free. And then we have short stories, what we call short stories. So while we were filming a subject, we would have people, and we just set up a camera and people would just start talking, and they were talking about their story. So it's not a full 20, 30 minute story, about themselves, but it's a short 1 to 2 minute video explaining what jiu-jitsu has done. And that's where the Mat Made Instagram channel was born and YouTube. And we started just posting, and people would just message us, oh my God, that inspired me so much, because there's somebody out there that has the same story as them.
Yeah. You talk about veterans, and I have to attest to that. one of the things that I see with my students who were in the armed forces, once they retire, is the camaraderie aspect that they crave so much. And I think the social component of jiu-jitsu in particular makes it so appealing and beneficial for them, because they feel they have another group of comrades that they can relate to and belong to. Don't you feel that way?
Oh, 100%. And especially for the veterans, yes. But when the pandemic happened and right after, a lot of jiu-jitsu schools blew up because people basically knew the importance of community. They knew the importance of the human touch, the importance of communication, belonging. And so once, it doesn't matter how much money you had, doesn't matter who you were during the pandemic, everybody was the same. You were just stuck, no control. And then when that thing, blew over, jiu-jitsu schools started we blew up. People were like, I need to be here. Sense of community, belonging. Which, if you really look at, I was watching a documentary called The Blue Zone. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
I've read the book.
Yeah. So I watched the documentary. It's just talking about 5 different components of how these people are living to be over 100 in these areas, right? There's a lot of different components, with diet and exercise, this and that. But one of the most important thing, I think 2 things that I took away from that, and I still try to live by that, is sense of belonging. Doesn't matter, sense of belonging. And the other one was purpose. So you wake up with a purpose 100%. And you have sense of belonging somewhere. Those are the 2 biggest things that I took away.
It brings me to mind my late uncle, Grandmaster Carlos Machado Sr. He died at the age of 94, right? But he retired at 89.
Okay.
And he used to be a dietitian, a healer, and he had tons of people going to his home office. I remember that. I used to live at his place when I went to college before I came to America. And they would always ask their sons, Dad, you should retire. You should, said, but if I don't do what I do, who's going to take care of those people? He had that sense of service, of purpose, right? And lo and behold, the day he retired, in a matter of years, he was gone. And he was a healthy guy, but he died on his sleep. Just like, so I agree with you. And it's always a work in progress, never a job done. So here, it brings me to mind here, the mindset. And I'm going to mention that to you, and I'm going to be brief. Jiu-jitsu for me, when I was a blue belt, taught me about resilience. Okay, I was a blue belt in the adults class, 16-year-old, in a small room in Copacabana, hot weather in Brazil. It's like Texas and Florida mixed up together. And
no air conditioning.
I was like a rag doll in the adults class, and I always the guys were smashing me. I felt like I was claustrophobic, couldn't breathe. And I remember they didn't have digital clocks at the time. It was a wall clock. And I would see the legs of the clock just moving around. I said, I'm going to just try to go for 1 minute before I quit. And then that minute would have passed. And I'll say, okay, I'm going to just stay for another minute. And I would last like 5 to 10 extra minutes from the point I wanted to quit. And that for me was one of the greatest mindset lessons I had in jiu-jitsu. Because every time from then on that I felt in the same level of vulnerability, I remembered just 1 more minute. So for me, what mindset or mindsets you feel you got from jiu-jitsu that you can, man, I'll take this with me.
Not to quit. Not to quit. And again, it goes back to the parallel between life and on the mats. There's a lot of times that I wanted to quit. On the mats, like, oh man, I can't do this anymore. It's so hard. The guys, all over me. I'm like, looking at the clock, I'm like, man, I think I'm just gonna tap. Oh man, I'm gonna I can't do this. But I don't quit. I can tap, I come back and do it again. Tap, come back and do it again, day in and day out. And so when we look at the parallel in life, is that life is gonna be hard. It's hard every day. You get hit with problems, you get hit with stress, this, that, financial problems, this at jobs and your friends. And what are you gonna do? Just stop, quit? We just keep going, right?
Yeah.
I tap, but it's okay. We're gonna do it again. I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to go until it becomes better.
They say you ain't over until it's over, right? When you are 6 feet under, then you can,
Exactly.
who knows what happens after.
Right.
You might grapple the angels.
Yeah.
Right.
Or the devil.
Yeah. Or the devil. Yes. Depends what side of the,
Yeah.
what happens at judgment. Right.
But yeah, that's what I learned.
So here, on your longevity, because I think that what happens on the mat also is a reflection of what happens off the mat. And I think the parallel is what are the benefits you take away from the mats to your life, and what do you do on your day-to-day to make it better to your time on the mat. So let's talk about wellness, because you talked about some cool stuff you're doing, some products and drinks, like about immunity boosting. I'm not sure this should be the time for you to talk about that, but you seem to be at 47 in great shape. You're well built, you're a happy camper, energetic. Everywhere I see you, you're always up and going.
Yeah.
So why don't you share with us a bit of your tricks?
Yeah. So I don't do any recreational drugs.
Okay.
Nah, I mean, if you want to, I mean, I have no problems. People are going to do whatever they do. I do like to, have some, have beers and have drinks on the weekends and stuff. That I do. That's probably the only bad thing that I really do. But I don't really consider it bad because I do it with the I don't sit at home by myself drinking, I do it with the community of people, whether it's my students or people that I love, we'll go out to eat, have some food, have, like even yesterday after the
It's like a social thing.
Yes, we go out. And it's just happy for me, like. But other than that, I mean, I get plenty of sleep. Like I've become that old man now at 9 o'clock. I'm crawling into bed already.
What's your night ritual? Do you use those glass blockers, blue light blockers? Do you watch screen?
I don't
stop.
Not to do screens in the evening or as soon as I wake up. I give myself time, right? And so, right before bed, I shower and then I actually take care of my skin now. Like in the mornings, I take collagen.
Yep.
Powder. I take a lot of vitamins. And so I take care of myself. And sleep is the most important component.
Are you a nap guy too?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Hey, we found somebody. Hey, fist bump here, man. Come on. My nickname is Soneca.
Oh yeah.
In Brazil, Soneca means nap.
Yeah.
Right? So
I every day I have to nap.
So tell me your nap routine, when that happens.
All right. So usually in the morning, like I said, I don't do screen for the first 30 minutes when I wake up. I wake up, stretch a little bit, drink at least a glass of water. I may just, if it's not too cold, I walk out to the backyard by my pool, just walk, and take a deep breath and take it all in, and get ready to start the day. And then make some coffee. And then I go in my office and, start doing some work, right? And then after that, my son goes to school and then we're off. I'm up at, 6. It's about 8 a.m. I'm out of the house. And the first thing I do is I go straight to the gym and go lift.
Do some weight training.
Yep, weight training. And it's just take some time off and, and then I go to the academy. Some days like Mondays, I'll have 2 privates in the morning back to back. And I'll go check on, our guys there, make sure, hey, the gym's clean. What do we have going on today? Let's make some calls and, let's do inventory, whatever we got to do. And then by then, it's about 1 o'clock. I go home, eat lunch. And then right after that, I sit on the couch. I don't watch TV, I turn it on just for the background noise.
Makes you sleep.
Yeah. And then I have my lazy boy just kind of sit there. And for about 20, 30 minutes, I doze off.
Yeah. And
then after that, pick up my son from school. And then now it's time to go, like that's when, classes start at the academy, with the kids. So, and then my son's going to soccer. So from then it's just back and forth, teaching or, whatnot. But yeah, every day I 20, 30-minute nap.
Yeah. So you guys out there listening, from now on, Carlos Machado is going to go back to his roots. Power nap every day.
Yes. It really helps.
It makes a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I've been doing the ketovore, carnivore diet kind of mix, and I feel if you don't overload on carbs, it helps your energy. You don't feel that slump.
It really does. And it keeps you fuller.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm on the same thing. I try to do high fats, but only from like avocados and nuts.
Do you follow anybody in particular? You just do your own?
I think my reasoning and my philosophy behind it is every person is different.
Right.
Everybody has a different body type. So what works for one person will not work for somebody else. And your ethnic background.
Sure.
has a lot to do with it. You know, I mean, you take an African American, you take an Asian person, they all have different genes. They all have different ways their bodies function, right? Like some cultures may have higher, rate of heart disease because that's just the way they are. So not every diet or eating habits are gonna be like fitting into one, right? And depending on what your goal is, a person that's trying to be like an athlete is not going to be the same as Joe over here who wants to just lose some weight and stay healthy at the time, right? So everybody, so I think it really has to be like dissected into what you're looking to get out of this.
Yeah.
And for me, it's longevity.
Yep.
Not only longevity in life, longevity on the mats.
Right.
Like, how do I stay on the mats?
Yep. I'm going to bring that up then. Okay, so I have two approaches here I want to ask you about. One, your teaching approach to your students, and then the smart approach to your training in regards to prolonging your longevity on the mats.
Teaching wise, I've taught over the last 20 years. I've been teaching. I think, and then it changes too. It changes. So depending on who you're teaching, like I don't teach the kids anymore. I used to teach all my kids' classes back in the days, but I don't teach the kids anymore. So that's a whole nother animal in itself, and it takes very good skills too to be able to teach kids. But I don't have a curriculum per se. I used to have a very
precise curriculum.
Curriculum, white to blue belt, you have to know 3 sweeps from the closed guard. You have to know these submissions, this and that. So that was years ago. I don't do that anymore. The way I teach now is I have what we call chapters. So I spend 6 to 8 weeks on the guard chapter. And so week 1, maybe passing. Week 2, maybe submissions. Week 3, maybe sweeps. Week 4, maybe, transitions. And then week 5, we may go back to submissions and tying in from here to here. And then the last week of the chapter, we basically do a lot of positional training just from that position. So we exhaust. And because the guard has, we use a lot of guard. That's the biggest
It's a critical point.
So 6 to 8 weeks on the guard. And then we go to mount and back mount turtle position for 2 weeks. And so I have 5, 6 instructors that teach the adult classes too, black belts. So I don't tell them what to teach. I just said, this is a chapter what we're on.
So they focus on the
chapter
topic.
Yes.
They stay put. I do believe you got to stay long enough to build up their muscle memory.
Yes.
How intensive are your classes? Is it an hour long?
It's an hour long for our fundamental class.
Okay.
And for fundamentals, depending on who's teaching, my class, I don't roll with white belt. They don't roll. Well, they do sometimes. And I'm not saying that they don't roll. I do a lot more positional training with the white belts. Like
which is a good thing in my opinion.
Yeah, because they have a task of doing one thing. Pass the guard. That's all you're trying to I tell even day one, I'm like, only thing you're trying to do is just get around this leg, go chest to chest, and pin the person down. That's your only job. And they can follow that. But if you say go live, they don't know they're getting choked. They don't know their arms getting twisted. They don't know how to tap, right? And so until they can get to that point, right? So we do a lot of positioning, but we do roll. Some of my other guys that teach the fundamentals, they may sometimes just do straight techniques. Sometimes they may do just straight positional training, And some classes, they may do a half class with just rolling. And then my advanced classes, it's very lax. So I kind of gotten away from doing the traditional warm-ups.
Yeah, I don't do warm-ups.
Like runs. I mean, we do warm-ups, but like more like
mine are all jiu-jitsu based.
Yes, exactly. Like, so if we're on the guard chapter, I will tell my advanced guys, all right, guys, we're on the guard chapter. Work on your sweeps, work on your submissions.
That's how you warm up.
Yeah, that's jiu-jitsu, right?
I agree.
Yeah. So I kind of gotten away with the running, the bouncing. I'm like, I'm not here to do that. Only time I really do that is with my fundamental class. But even then, it's not a very rigid way. It's like, okay, we're going to do hip escapes, but we're not just going to do hip escapes down the mat. We're going to do hip escapes with our partner. So my partner kind of throws the leg to the side. Okay, now you're going to hip escape. Now they understand why we're doing a hip escape. Because if you're just doing hip escapes down the mat, up and down, they don't know why. They're like, well, why are we doing this, right? And so my approach has changed. And I think every, couple of years, it changes. If I see I visit a lot of schools and I talk with a lot of people and I try to keep an open mind. If I see something that I feel like, wow, that's,
Mhm.
I will try to follow
Mhm.
that too. I'm not married to the idea of like, this is the only way I'm
Right.
going to do it. And I'll change,
Yeah.
even the way I show some techniques, a same arm bar, that I showed my black belts when they're white belts. I may show it different. They're like, oh, you showed it different. I'm like, yeah, because I saw so and so do it this way, and I thought it was better. And
Yeah.
so, and I'm open to the idea that I'm open to the idea of even my students being able to teach their way, because I don't think there's a right way and a
Right.
wrong way. Which way, like your way,
It's funny you mentioned that about the armbar. You brought to me memory. I was in a martial arts event one time, running a booth, and one a good friend of mine, black belt accomplished, was supposed to teach a class on arm bars,
Mm-hmm.
and he wanted me to go there and do the class. It was 1 hour long, so he dragged me from the booth to go there to wherever the training room
Mm-hmm.
was at the venue. I had to pair up with Greg Jackson from Jackson Link MMA, and we were just kind of tagging along and following the instruction. In the span of an hour, he taught 22 different arm bars. And I was with Greg Jackson doing the techniques, trying to kind of keep up with whatever. As we were getting in the groove with one technique, he would switch for another one. And then I told Greg, I hope you don't mind. I'm going to just stick this first three and do this three until the end. No matter what he teaches, we'll go back to this one. Because I believe jiu-jitsu less is more. You do less techniques, but more detail and repetition on it and positional training. So, but I you just brought me that one.
Yeah.
Is anybody in the community, in the martial arts, or it could be anybody, even a role model in a different area that inspires you when you look at people today? Anybody in particular?
I don't have anybody in particular, but the person that inspires me is the person who inspires others. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Not the richest person, not the most smart person, not the most athletic world champion, but person who can inspire and have followers follow him to be a successful person in life.
Yeah, you said something not about names or anything like that, that you got to be mindful of how you conduct yourself.
Yes.
Because if you have a position of influence, anything you do will have a ripple effect after the fact. So a lot of times I think we're in the business of building legacies. And so being mindful of what you're doing, it may have unintended consequences if you're not aware of it.
No, exactly. No, I 100% agree. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's inspiration. Like, how can we be a positive role? Who's a positive role model in our community? Maybe jiu-jitsu community, even just in our community. Like, so I always like to try to give back. Like, I want to learn from those people. Like, how are we doing this?
I like that. You're inspired by those who inspire others.
Yeah.
So it's like a pay forward kind of thing.
Yes.
That's great. I have another thing here I want to kind of bring up about challenges. I know you had in your upbringing, you said at 17, you had some, deals with the law. And then after that, you had that fateful day where your friends got arrested when you skipped because you had to go to practice the next day. But throughout your, I guess, journey, what lessons did you learn about how to overcome challenges, and what challenges some of them?
You know what the funny thing? It's not even funny, but it's my book. It's actually called Matt Made, and the subtitles Overcoming Challenges.
Nice.
That's the title of the book.
Hey,
so it's perfect for this because for me, my entire life was a challenge. I wasn't dealt the cards that some of these other people have been dealt with.
Right.
We had no money. I really didn't even have a pair designer sneakers, Nikes, Adidas, whatever, until I was in high school. I got my own job and I was able to buy it. And I wasn't the person to ask my parents like, hey, can you? So at 14, 15 years old, even without a driver's license, I would drive my dad's car because they were working somewhere else to a building for janitorial service. And I would have to clean the building for 2-3 hours every day. And I would still have to make time to train. I would still have to make time to hang out, play soccer, and do my other stuff. So my entire life was a challenge. It's been a challenge. When I first opened up the school, I was like, oh man, yeah, this is going to be great. I slept into school for 6 months. Slept. I didn't have a place. I didn't even have a car.
Mm-hmm.
I had one meal a day. I didn't have any money.
Wow.
So I would pay $1. There was a Chinese restaurant next to me. I would pay $1 and they would give me a big bowl of rice. And I would just eat half of it for lunch and half of it for dinner. And I would just put soy sauce on there. Now I didn't do that for 6 months. That was probably the first, a few weeks. And there was almost probably 2 or 3 nights, restless nights, I would sit in the corner of the mat and cry.
Mm.
But I was too stubborn to quit. I already told my parents, I said, this is what I'm doing. And I did it. And I literally cried. In the middle of the winter, couldn't turn the heat on because I didn't have any money to pay the bills. I would just be shivering, have, a coat on, eating, a bowl of rice. And so that was my start. That was my challenge. So I overcame those challenges. I overcame the fears of like the what ifs.
What kept you? What kept you going? Because when I see challenges, a lot of times, I know you have one main motivator to continue, that no quit mentality. But I think a lot of times when you're in the midst of it, what is one thing that your mind goes to that I'm going to focus on this regardless of how bad I feel right now? What would that be? Like,
for me,
what kept you going?
No, for me, it was, I didn't have a backup.
So it's either you or you.
It's either I do this or I don't do this. And I didn't want to be one of these, I didn't want to be a piece of shit in life. And only thing that I knew I had was, I knew I was good at martial arts. I think I was learning, I was becoming a person that was being a good coach. And my personality even changed. I was a very insecure, scared boy, even into manhood. I had all these insecurities. Oh, what if this person doesn't like me? What if this person thinks I'm not good? I'm not doing, like I had all this. And I always had a barrier like this. I was an introvert. It's so weird because people are like, you an introvert? I was very reserved. I couldn't even make eye contact. I was like always on the, on the edge, like ready to defend myself, like, And so I was like, it's either I do this or I don't. This is the only thing that I have. And I've given myself a chance, so I have to make it work.
So I feel you burned the bridges, like you said, okay, there's nothing to go back to.
Nothing.
Once you made that decision. And the other thing that strikes me is the people look at you now very, I would say, upbeat and smiley and always happy face. But they have no idea all the scars of the battle that came along, which is a testament, I guess, to your mission. Right?
Well, again, it's man-made. It's Jiu-Jitsu is what, I mean, I would say martial arts from the beginning, but Jiu-Jitsu in my adult life has made me the person that I am today. It's molded me into the man I am, the coach that I am, the man I am, the friend that I am. I'm not perfect, but I've become 1,000% better version of myself than who I was. I can be a likable person now. And back then, when I was younger, I don't think I was a likable person because, again, I always had that barrier. Like, I wouldn't let you get too close.
You knew who you were, but you were not that person back then, I think. You already knew who you wanted to
be, yes.
And I guess the measure of you is the man in the mirror.
Yes.
You wanted to look to that image that you had in your head, but you were also conscious about, you're not there yet.
Right. I don't think I'm ever going to be there. We don't know. There's no end.
There's no perfection.
No, it's always about self-improvement, and that's what I want to,
So let's talk about some of the things you've been telling me about that are very intriguing, to say the least. Matt Made, you had a book. Matt Made, you have a docu-series. You have this project coming up that's amazing. You have different projects. You have a crew that you travel, with the docu-series and stuff. Let's talk about that impact and that experience and what's coming.
Yeah. So, I wasn't even thinking about it. Somebody asked me recently, like, hey, what have you been doing? And they were like, oh my God, you're doing all of this. And I didn't even think about it, but I guess I am. I have my hands full. So the brand Matt Made is like an umbrella, right? And then within it we have different components. So we have the media, which is the docu-series, the short stories, the podcast, the video cast, and everything that we do. And then, of course, I have my book, Matt Made, and I'm actually writing another book right now with Jiu-Jitsu standout Chris Wujic.
Mm-hmm.
We connected over a podcast. I had him in for a podcast, and he was very intrigued about the academy. And eventually, because I mean, he wants to open up his own academy eventually,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And after he gets done with his competitive career, he was asking me all these questions, and you know, and I mean, I've been doing it so long, and I just have this in my head. And he was like, "Man, it'd be great to put this in a book." And I was like, he was like, "I can be your ghostwriter." And I was like, "Chris, you don't have to be my ghost. Let's write it together. I want your input too."
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Nice.
And so, anyways, so we're writing a book right now as we speak. So this book is going to be on how to run a successful martial arts school. It's going to have the goods, the bads, the uglies, and let not only for people who are interested in opening up a school, but for the regular people audience to read and catch up on what it takes to be that.
Right.
How hard it is.
That's crazy, right? Because a lot of times people have the assumption, okay, I'm going to open a school. And they think that in a month, they're going to have 200 students, 300 students,
this money,
from 0 to 200 with no marketing or nothing, just because, you know, they open the doors.
Yeah, because they're good at
you know. And there's the behind the curtain and the after the curtains are open parallel right there. Yeah. If you don't do your diligence before you open or before you teach, whatever vision you have, it would be hard to manifest.
So, you know, all that's going to be in there. And it's going to make, again, the readers understand, like, you don't do the simple math. Most people will be like, oh my God, this guy has 200 students. He charges $100 a month. That's $20,000 a month. Oh man, he's making a lot of money. Okay, well, you're not talking about the rent. You're not talking about the utilities.
So what you make is what you keep it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
And so the book is about making people understand, like, that the ugly part,
the perspective,
but ugly part of running a school, what it takes to have the customer service and deal with students, and then of course all the other stuff that you should know. So, anyways, that book's on the way right now. I've got we've got our mattmade.com, which is the biggest jiu-jitsu directory in the U.S. Right now. We have 7,000 schools. So if you go to mattmade.com, it's geolocation based. So your city will pop up. Find jiu-jitsu school in your area.
I found myself.
There you go. Yeah.
I went to his website and I found myself, but I'm not verified yet. So
we're gonna get
you gotta tell me all the truth. Hook me up, man.
Well, we got it. And so, you know, and right now we have AI scraping to get everybody verified. We want to make sure we have the right information, the right names, because some schools have opened, closed.
Yeah. I hate when that happens. You know. You ever driven, tried to find a Starbucks and use your navigation and you end up in the middle of nowhere in a dead end? It's like, where the heck did I go?
So we want to make sure it's current, up to date. And we basically are using the power of AI to do that right now. So hopefully in the next month or so, we're going to be able to have everything verified.
Is that scary or what? AI?
It's scary, but it's
I know. I love the gadgets. I mean, I talked to Roger here and there, you know, our producer, and man, but when are the robots coming, man?
Yeah,
I think
either you're going to get on board now.
Musk said in 5 years, we're going to have a mass production of robots for everything.
I believe it.
You're going to have a maid, a cook, and God knows what. You already have a self-driven car.
Well, speaking of that, I just saw in California, they're doing away with regular license tags, and they're putting a digital license plate.
Wow.
And so you can't put a fake one on there, and they said you can do Amber Alerts, and it'll just have.
Wow.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it.
I think with everything, there is the pros and cons.
Yeah, of course.
It's how you use it for what purpose.
So mattmade.com, that'll connect people watching that want to find a school. Or if you're traveling, if you're you know, if you're already trained and you're like, all right, I'm going to be in Texas. Oh, who can I train with? Yeah, you can Google, but like you can go here and be like, oh, straight up, here's all the jiu-jitsu schools. Yeah. And, you know, oh, this school is verified. This is person, you know, this is their association. They have a women's class. They have showers. Like, you're going to be able to list all of that. So it's a tool for the community. I'm connecting people together.
Right.
And then eventually brands that want to be like, I want my brand to be in front of 7,000 schools.
Sure.
I want my association to be in front of this. And they can contact our team and we can work a deal out where now we have a banner up and we can do a pop-up where they can be in connect with 7,000.
Help each other out and, you know, and make a win-win for everybody,
right? And then The next one I have is an immune ready drink.
Mhm.
Okay, it's Matt made, rolled immune ready.
Before you start,
Uh-huh.
tell me how you feel when you go for all these trips and you have people coughing left and right.
Oh, God.
You're going to go to a 70, you shake hands, and then there's somebody sneezing right in front of you.
Especially doing what we do. We're literally in each other's faces. We're
Mhm.
dripping sweat
Yeah.
in each other's faces, and the mouth goes in your ear. And
Yeah.
it's not a pleasant feeling. While you're training, it's okay, but afterwards, I'm like,
You know what I hate the most? And we're going to go back to
Uh-huh.
your drink. Did it ever happen to you? I'm sure it did. I'm at the bottom. The guy's on top of me on the mount. I'm teaching the guy. He's kind of sweaty.
Uh-huh.
And then a drip of sweat
Yep.
goes right in my mouth.
Yep.
I hate that, man.
That has gone into my eye before.
All my clients, if I teach a private and I have to be one-on-one with a guy, they have a towel. They have to wipe themselves off.
Yeah.
Even if I'm demonstrating with a student, wipe yourself off before you mount on me so I don't have to swallow your sweat.
Yeah, exactly. So our immune system needs to be on high alert. It needs to be pushing on all cylinders. There's a lot of drinks out there, from energy drinks to protein drinks, you name it, electrolytes, salt. Depending on what you're looking for. I mean, I don't like energy drinks. I'm not a.
No, I don't use it.
I don't drink it. I don't use it. It's a stimulant.
You like coconut water?
I did until, oh my God, I got to tell you a story in just a minute. I love coconut water, but I'll tell you a story in just a second. So I don't do those, but this is a immune ready drink. It comes in a little, you can buy a packet for 15. It has little sticks in it. The flavor is tiger's blood. Its actual flavor is coconut, watermelon, and strawberry, I think.
Oh, wow.
And it tastes great. That's the most important thing. It has to taste good. It's got, our main component is beta glucan. Beta glucan is a immune booster that like even cancer patients should use.
Wow.
Right. And so that's the main component. So we have beta glucan, we have pre and probiotics, vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, potassium, and sodium, all natural flavor. So this isn't an energy drink. It's not a recovery drink. It's an immune booster. Whether you're traveling, whether you're about to get on the mat, whether you just got done training, put one in your back, boom, take it out. You're ready to go. Kids can drink it. It's safe. And this is going to be dropping here probably the second week of April.
Oh, it's coming up. It's coming up.
It's coming up. I'm going to send you a bag.
Oh, yeah. I want you to get a booth on my event.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Hey, we can do that too.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to be in Master Worlds and Jiu-Jitsu Con with the table set up. So we'll have our book there. We'll have a camera set up there.
When will that be again?
End of August in Vegas.
Okay,
we'll have a camera set up. People can tell their mat mate stories. Actually, another thing that I'm doing, I'm actually doing a clothing collaboration with a company called Standard Issue. It's a company, they do basic t-shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts. They've done collaborations with Toyo Tires. They're like LeBron James and the whole NBA team wears their stuff. But anyway, the funny thing is the owner of the CEO of the company messages me, DMs me on Instagram. Professor, I'm a huge fan. Me and my wife train. Cool. He's like, let me send you some stuff. So he sends me all of this,
Got all the goodies.
Yeah. And I'm like, represent. And then we got to talking and we said, why don't we collaborate? They collaborate. They got a Vans shoes coming out. So we're coming out with a rash guard, shorts, t-shirt, hoodie, set, capsule per se.
Right.
And he's coming up with this special material for rash guard right now. It's in testing.
Yeah.
So hopefully we're gonna have some for sale up in at Worlds whenever I go there. So that's another project that I'm working with.
That's great, man. That's
so
great.
I don't know, a bunch of stuff going on. I don't even know how much I have.
You have too much stuff going on. You don't drop the ball, right?
I know, yeah. So, but it's fun. It's exciting. It keeps me busy. I got to stay busy.
Yeah. Well, I'm so excited to hear about all these things. We're gonna make sure that we display all the info for the viewers. If there's any advice that you want to give to anybody who's watching this, whether you're in the martial arts or not, one of the things you mentioned, and I want to just strike that out, you kind of came across this gentleman from the apparel deal. He is a jiu-jitsu person. So it's a network that you got from the jiu-jitsu community.
Yes.
And I always emphasize to everybody out there, if you're an instructor or involved in martial arts, know the room, know your crowd.
Yes.
So a lot of times for me, one of the greatest assets of jiu-jitsu is not just the art in itself, but the value of its network.
I agree.
And I'm kidding. Like there's not a room that I don't go to, and it's not for self-interest. It's just I want to know who I'm dealing with.
Yes.
And a lot of times they're spontaneous cooperations that take place just for the fact that we know who they are and what they're doing, and we kind of create a two-way, I guess, flow in which we can spread our message.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I mean, it's an amazing tool that we have.
And I think it's one of all the martial arts. I'm kind of biased towards jiu-jitsu, but I think jiu-jitsu gives you a quality of network that I haven't seen anywhere. Yeah. It's unbelievable.
Oh yeah. I one of the things that I said, I mean, it brings people together, meaning you'll have the guy who, you know, works for minimum wage, and then you have a lawyer, and then you have a judge, you have a police officer, and they're all the same. They, you know, we've taken away our society, what society labels us. So what kind of watch he's wearing, what kind of car he's driving.
They're there for one another.
Right. So now everybody's in there with a gi or a rash guard, whatever, right? And they're all in there for the same reasons.
Yeah.
And so they become brothers of the mat.
Yeah, it's one of the greatest brotherhoods, sisterhoods you can ever think of.
Yeah.
Because the only concern there is growth.
Yes. Only concern is let me just survive this. Let me not get choked here.
Yeah. I'll smash you, but I'll show you what I'm doing later on. Right.
And then we'll go out for some, you know.
Then we celebrate.
Yeah.
You know.
It's a beautiful thing.
That's awesome.
It's beautiful.
So I can't thank you enough, Kenny, for your diligence in being who you are, the message that you spread. I'm so happy that I met you in that fateful day at PGF, and for you to come here to Dallas and be the first guest of the Carlos Machado Coffee Time podcast. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add, but no, I'm ecstatic here.
I just want to say I really appreciate your guidance. You know, I look up to you.
Thank you.
As a man, as an organization, as a master. I mean, there's just so much. And when you reached out and asked me to be the first guest on your podcast, I mean, I didn't hesitate. I said yes right away. I'll make it happen. Doesn't matter, you know. And we're gonna do it in person. No problem. I'll fly out to Dallas. That's it's my honor to be here and to be able to share a little bit of my story, and hopefully my story can inspire other people to become the better versions of themselves, you know, and, you know, spread positivity and connect.
Yes, sure thing. Well, thank you so much for your time. Coffee time with Carlos Machado. Let's cheer here real quick. Come on.
Damn.